Hello. Good evening. A little later than usual to our daily drawing practice because it's daylight savings. That doesn't mean kids are ready to sleep earlier, so it's just taken a little bit longer today. But I'm here. Ingrid is here. Hello, Ingrid. Anyone else who's here, I would love you to say hello in the chat. Whether you're watching live or watching the replay, please say hello. People have been having conversations, making friends here. That's wonderful. Hello, Ike. I think Hanane Lazaar was the last. I started doing this daily practice in between the Advent series and starting daily live streams. I spent like a week where I was doing the daily practice and sharing reference on the Discord server. And I think the one I did of Hanane was maybe the last one before starting daily live streams again. So let me know if you remember working from the image that we did back in early January. It must have been the 4th of January. Hi Rachel, Corinna, Adam, Lisbeth, Martina. So nice to have you here. And yeah, so it was like, she had this amazing like jellyfish costume. Hanane makes incredible costumes and is incredibly in control of her body. You just go check out her account on Instagram. She has lotus ankles, as she says, and just a wonderful creative individual. And after drawing from the last reference, I was in touch and said, I'd love to draw you again. And she said she'd love to see the results. So as I was thinking, today is the last day of focusing on shadow shapes before we move into wet media sketching. And as I was scrolling through Instagram today and saw this image, I was like, oh, these shadow shapes beckoning for us to draw them. So we'll be drawing Hanane today. Hello, Kiki. Anyone have anything to say? Any questions? Please put them in the chat. I realized that the piece that I did yesterday was not with Inktense pencils. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm going to do another one without Inktense pencils today. So I'm using polychromos pencils, Faber-Castell. And this magenta color would be wonderful, but I did it last time. So now I have, I don't know, green, red, and orange here. Green, red, I don't know. Hello, Tommy. Hello, thank you for the yesterday's. You had one too yesterday. Was it your birthday yesterday, Tommy? Brigitte also said it was her birthday yesterday. That would be amazing. Hello, Liz. So, green, red, orange. First person to say a colour in the chat, I'll draw with that colour. My birthday was good. And Tommy, I'm very curious about whether your birthday was also yesterday. I got to choose what we did for the day. So we went to an art gallery for the first time with all of the kids. And they ran through and then got bored and wanted to leave. And I had only just started looking. Red. Oh, that was very close. Red, green, red, orange. Okay, red it is. Kiki, split second after Corinna. It would have been green and now it's going to be red. Let's start drawing. And I wanted to tell you that this week on Thursday, there are so many things to tell you. But I have to tell you that on the Drawn Together show, Anjekan Udolfia is going to be joining us, who's an incredible muralist. And I'm really looking forward to talking with him. So maybe if you're not already signed up, subscribe to the Drawn Together show. It's a live stream podcast draw along conversation where we have an hour stream and then we go to an after party where people get to hang out with us in Zoom and ask questions directly of the guest and us, Shannon and myself. It's going to be really cool. I've been red is quicker tonight. That's true. The colors are all right next to each other. RED, like with one thing, just RED. Okay, let's draw, shall we? So it's been a long time that Anjekan has been lined up and waiting to come on the show, because I got in touch with him a while back. I was like, wow, amazing work. And we both were in the Smarter Art School mentorship program. and I started seeing his posts, and I was like, oh wow, we somehow we kind of like we know some of the same people, and got in touch and asked Anyikan if he'd like to come on the show, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm really looking forward to finally getting to hang out, chat, get to know each other. So be sure to join us on Thursday, 8 p.m. Central European time, for our chat with Anyikan. It's going to be really cool. How's everyone doing? Birthdays are the best. Hugs and cookie crumbs all over the place. Tommy, was it your birthday yesterday? Also on the 30th of March? I know one other person who, until today, if you and Brigitte both have your birthday on the 30th of March now, I know 3 other people who share the same birthday. So, and another thing, I said there are a lot of things to talk about today. I just, intermission here, I've been filming my latest Patreon tutorial. I've been working on a portrait of Nadia Duff, who is a very cool artist and art educator, and focused on shadow shapes. So started with this really reduced no-tan style, 2-value, and this was quite an in-depth drawing. Took a long time working on this one, and we can get a bit closer, and then we'll be closer to this drawing too. Super fun to work on, and Adam had a special request about understanding like gentle transitions with ink, and so I did this one as well, and those are all going to be wrapped up and packaged and edited into my next Patreon tutorial. So anyone who would like to follow along with those, please check out the Patreon link in the description. And thank you so much to all of you who are already supporting me and learning together via Patreon. It's really cool. So here, shadow shape. This is a really cool shadow shape. And I feel like the perfect way to wrap up the past month of focusing on shadow shapes. Is anyone here for the first time ever? Or if you're watching the replays, it's the first time you're watching one of my videos, because we've spent the past month focused on shadow shapes and how to put our portraits together, informing our decisions by the shadow shapes that exist within the reference, whatever it is we happen to be drawing. So I love portraiture and focus on portrait drawing, but this way of understanding, of looking at things, is totally, it's translatable to anything that you may want to draw. And so here I'm just looking at like the way these angles interact with each other. This is really interesting here. That shape is so cool. And yeah, finding my way around the drawing just by looking at the way these different shadow shapes are interacting with each other. So it's really interesting, rather than focusing on, okay, where do I put the eyes, where do I put the nose, where do I put the mouth, those classical kind of the main features of the face, making those decisions, rather than them guiding the process and trying to figure it out that way, that we just look at the way each shape relates to the next one to guide our decision-making process, which I have found to be a very enjoyable path of figuring out how to draw this way. And of course, I have other videos where I go right into drawing by eye. There's one from last year called, I think, on my channel, if you look up tips and tricks for drawing by eye, something like tips and techniques for drawing by eye, you'll find the replay of the live stream where I really break down that process of how I'm looking at things as I draw. But otherwise, this daily practice, I'm super happy to address people's questions and stuff, but this is mostly a collaborative learning by doing. We hang out and we draw together. Rather than instructional, it's educational, just in the fact that we're here doing it. that we're like checking in, taking the time to create something together. And I'm so glad for each of you that are here drawing together with me. So much fun. Adam nods vigorously. Thank you for the genteel shadow shapes. You're very welcome. Yeah, I already said it yesterday, but I really appreciated the impulse to, because I was thinking, there's some things I wanted to do, like this 2-value really reduced drawing, because that's been really something interesting from the workshop last weekend, and thinking, because I have done shadow shape, talked a lot about shadow shapes in the past, so it was kind of like, what can I focus on? How can I make it this time like something which is covering all of that information, but also adding a little something special. And so just your request, Adam, I thought that was a really nice topic to integrate into the tutorial. So thank you for asking. And that's a cool, I think it's pretty cool, part of my Patreon as well, that whenever people have some specific request, or like I have my roadmap of things I'm going to be focusing on throughout the year. But if something comes up for you and you're like, how would you do that? Like if there's something you're stuck with or something you're interested in how I do it, you can just directly ask, and I will endeavor to touch upon the topic in my tutorial videos. Yep, it was your birthday yesterday. It's amazing. You arrived a long time ago. How long ago? I'm 42 now. Those portraits of Nadia are awesome. Thank you so much, Ike. Nadia is one of the, I think from the Museum by Sketchy app, like one of the longest long-time community members. If I understood correctly, Nadia was part of the Sketchy community before there was an app. So that's pretty cool. We had a chat sometime. We have both taught on the Sketchy Art School, and she's done an awesome portrait of me. I've sketched her a couple of times in the past. And once we were chatting and just asked how long she's been using the app, and she's like one of the first ever members, like a founding member of the Sketchy app, which is really cool. Okay, this is the pure line part of the drawing is done. And now I'm going to fill in those shadow shapes. So I'm under 10 minutes for this first phase, so that's pretty good. Someday I'm going to do those 5-minute portraits again someday, but I've really enjoyed just having more time. I wonder from your side, if anyone here watching, do you feel like it would be good to practice some more like brief portraits? Because it was January, wasn't it? Or February, I did a week of 5-minute portraits, and some people seem to really like it. And of course, not as much is achievable in 5 minutes, but sometimes it's surprising what is. So I have been wondering for a while, and maybe you've heard me wondering out loud during the streams, is that something I should do again? But then each time I come to sit here, I just get drawn in, and I don't want to stop. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so you can come and draw with me in Zoom, and we get to hang out and sketch each other. It's from 19:30, so 7:30 German time, until 9:30, and then 10 minutes after, has traditionally been the case. Okay, that was 10 minutes. So then at 9:40, I do a live stream here. And another thing of the lots of things I wanted to talk about is that my first lesson, full lesson for Let's Face It 2025, which is a year-long art class. I've been hosting monthly live sessions for Let's Face It as well, but my first full lesson is available now. This is my week. So week 13 of Let's Face It 2025. I find it hard to believe that it's already week 13 of the year and that we're one quarter through, but there you have it. And I have a beautiful reference photo from Radha Sadigova, and I actually made the portrait. It's a double portrait, and I worked on it in June last year. I think that's when I recorded the lesson, and now it's out. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what people come up with, how people go with it. And always a treat to work from Radha's photos. Yes, I think it was like back in May last year that I asked Radha, could I use this photo for a tutorial? And she said yes, and I made it and then forgot about it for almost a year. And now it's time. So I just made an Instagram post mentioning it, and look forward to seeing what people do. So many cool shapes here. I love the way all the shapes are interacting here around between the fingers. Oh, I'm about to draw out of the frame here, so I'll just stay there, come back up. Ike's 5-minute portraits always look incomplete. So you prefer 10 to 20 minutes. Interesting. That's also something I found. The pieces where I have spent more time working on them, I have generally, there are some 5-minute ones where I'm like, oh wow, I can't believe I did that in 5 minutes. And then I really like them. But in general, the pieces that I spent longer working on, I felt like, generally I felt better about them. But I still think the 5-minute practice is valuable. But it's something I do every week anyway. Every Tuesday, we're doing between 30 seconds and 6 minutes. And everyone who has access to Zoom is welcome to join. Don't be shy, or be shy and just leave your camera off, but just hang out and draw with us anyway. So no one who we meet via Zoom, no one has to pose, but it's fun posing for each other. And we share stories, and it's give each other prompts. It's a very fun way to practice. Something about the jaw shape which is a bit off, but maybe I can address that in a moment. So this is really cool compared to the last one of Hanane, which was very bright. It was a super bright reference. This has just such strong, clear shadow shapes. It's really, there's a lot to grasp onto to find a way around here. So this is really fun working on this one. Whoop. Tommy says, it's a good idea with the different themes you've been covering lately. It corresponds very well with your Patreon tutorials. I'm glad you think so. I mentioned it recently that so I've been doing Patreon tutorials for years now. I think since 2021. And I had some ideas in the beginning of things that I thought, that'd be really good to address. And so people were like, do a hands tutorial, do a teeth tutorial. And I was doing these things, and then I had like a few things that I went through. and just or particular portraits that I just thought were really cool. And then there was a point last year where I was like, do I have anything? Like I was just going ad lib every month, just like, what should I do this time? What should I do this time? And every month I would kind of be there like, oh. Then I put a course together last year, which has not yet been released, but my Patreon supporters from last year got to go through the course. That's another thing I plan to release soon, a facial features course. And that gave me like a trajectory. I was like, okay, I'm making this course. I'm going to focus on the eyes this month. I'm going to focus on the ears, the nose, the mouth. And I did a bunch of portraits for that series, that course. And that was really cool. And then when that was finished again, I was like, oh, what am I going to do now? And it's kind of like I would fall into the, what am I going to do next thing? Is there anything new? What haven't I done? Like, and then had this idea that it would be really good to plan it out in advance, which is something I don't do a lot of, but it's working really well. So in December, I sat down and I was like, what would be a list of really cool topics to cover to have like a comprehensive exploration of drawing in different ways, looking at things different ways, focusing on different elements. And then I wrote down this roadmap, and it's been really cool having a theme to each month. And I didn't realize at the time like how cool it was going to be, because I really get to dwell with the topic, to really get into it, and spending a month drawing every day with the same focus and set of ideas. It's a different portrait every time, but there's a certain way, like switching into a certain way of looking at things has been really, really interesting. And then to feed off of that experience of the month and then be like, okay, now I'm going to do this tutorial. And then I did the workshop last weekend as well. That was super cool. And so there are these different ways to really get deep into the topic, and it's been really cool. I feel like to me it just feels like the beginning of this year, but I was already thinking, what am I going to do next year? Different topics, the same topics again, come back to the same topics, but with a year's worth of experience, and maybe integrate something new into the process each time. It's interesting. I'm enjoying it, so I'm glad you are too. Thank you for the feedback. There is a secret course, Rachel. Yep. There is. There is a secret course. I'll have to rewatch the videos to remember what I talk about. I got right into facial anatomy, all the Latin names of the different facial features, and yeah, understanding the different facial features. So it's the secret course has like an anatomical description component for each feature, and there is a quick practice component where it's just drawing like 9 sets of eyes in a relatively brief space of time, and then full portraits to practice everything we've been talking about in the context of a complete face, with really wonderful muses, also great artists. It's so great that there are so many artists that share so many great photos of themselves, and all the tutorials and videos, all the people that I get to get in touch with. It's just a really nice way to connect. All right, I think, 10 seconds left. I'm just about like, I think I'm done. So that's 20 minutes for today. And that's it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for drawing with me. And just to wrap it up, amongst the many things I've been talking about, let's have a look at another portrait on Procreate, because on the weekend I'm doing a Portraits in Procreate workshop. How about this one? So does this have a layer? Yes, it does. Oh, look at that, more contrast. So, the colors look a bit different on the screen here, but look at that. Look at that. It's all shapes. It's all freehand selection tool. Not a line has been drawn. So shapes in Procreate. And here you can see like the transition from the highlight to then a subtly different shade, and then a bit darker, and then really dark at the shadow line where the hair meets. Just using these varied, gentle shapes to find the way around. Look at all these shapes in the eye. It's fun looking back, reflecting upon these Procreate pieces that I did years ago. And I'm really looking forward to the workshop. So you can get a ticket at dylansara.com to join the Procreate workshop on Saturday. And that's a lot of things I've been talking about today. Let's face it. Oh, that looks really cool. What's that? That's just a color layer with this like magenta layer. Magenta is a color I use a lot with this kind of thing. Oh, that's interesting. Patreon, let's face it, Drawn Together on Thursday. My Procreate course is coming up. And the mentorship. You can join my mentorship for the next round starting end of April. And tomorrow we're going to get into wet media sketching, I guess. I think I'm going to have to stop using my sketchbook because I think I need to use some different paper. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Hanane. Thank you for people that have already put your drawing hand emojis in the chat. Wait a minute. Let me see. There are 15 of you here. 8 of you have already put a drawing hand emoji in the chat before I even asked you to. That is amazing. So, 7 of you, I hope, will still put your drawing hand emoji in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, if you make your way all the way to the end of the video, please put your drawing hand emoji in the comments, and then I know you've watched all the way to the end, and I'll be like, oh, that person made it all the way to the end. I'm so happy. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everyone. Ingrid, Karina, Ronnie, Tommy, Adam, Liz, Lisbeth, Martina, Cheryl, Rachel, Kiki. Thank you for those drawing hands. Thank you for being here and drawing together. And I would love to see your work. So please tag me. Where are we? Here. That's me on Instagram. And Hanane Lazaar _ tag us. We'd love to see your work. I presume maybe Hanane would also like to see it. And yeah, check out her account because she has so many cool costumes that she makes and like does these really cool self-portrait shoots where she's like doing really interesting things with her ankles and stuff. So check it out. Thank you, Sylvia, Ingrid. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe in Zoom. Come and